I've conducted a lot of workshops, master classes, transaction structuring, made tons of offers on a lot of different commercial real estate and financing deals and transactions. But one of the things that I've never done is I've never created a master class around commercial transaction engineering until now. Today, you get to go behind the scenes and watch as I structure a couple of commercial transactions that are specifically solution-oriented transactions. And this is a very comprehensive masterclass. So I encourage you to dial in, shut off your devices, be the king of your thing here, and actually dial in. So we're going to jump right into this. And the best advice I can give you is to simply dial in and pay attention and take real good notes. All right. Now, having said that, what we're going to cover is how to structure and engineer commercial financing solutions. Now, I want you to pick up on that. Solutions. That's what this is about. It's not about acquisitions. It's not about making money. It's about solutions. All right. Now, the way this works, in this session, you're going to learn the science and the art. That's the mental stuff in terms of structuring commercial transactions like a pro. And once you understand the framework and the fundamentals to actually putting the deals together, it becomes very easy because it's solution oriented. Now, there's going to be some counterintuitive things that I'm going to say that's important, but they're truths. All right. One is you want to focus on serving other people, solving their problems, not your problem. And that's not easy for people to do. And I get that. But I'm telling you, you have to do that to do what we are doing. Because if you do that, it's a whole lot easier to do and a lot more fun. And you make a lot more money doing it. Okay, but you have to go there. In other words, it's based on the law of a servant, the heart of a servant. Most of us want to be served. Here, this is different. And you'll see as we go through this. It's scripturally based. It's fundamentally solid. And is that he that is the greatest among you shall be your servant. And what I'm encouraging you to go and think about mentally, what we're going to be doing and what you're going to see me do is serve people solutions to their problems. Not my problem, not my concern. I want to be the great one, so I have to focus more on the other person than myself. And that's not easy to do initially because typically we want to, it's all about me. Hey, what about, forget that. What about me? That doesn't work here. How much can I charge? That doesn't work here. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to focus more on helping other people solve their problem, bringing your best game to the table to help others, not to help yourself, but to help others. All right. Mark 9:35 says, if any man or woman desires to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all. You get that? Forget about you. Get at the back of the line. Find another person who has a problem and let them put them at the front of your line. Now, that's important as we go there because the bottom line, and you're going to see this, I have to emphasize that here because the potential and the things you're going to see, if you don't remember this, it'll mess it all up. All right. And what I like for you to do is to become obsessed with helping other people solve their problems and less focused on solving your problems. And in that process, and it's amazing, your problems will be solved. So get you out of your way. Now, my core objective is basically what I just shared with you. It's to serve others my highest level. That means I have to bring my best, to give not the least, but the best of myself at my highest level by providing my clients, you, anyone that I'm serving, the highest level of service and solutions that I even know about. So giving my best to others is what matters the most to me. Not seeing how little I can do or how much I cannot do, but how much I can do. That's the servant's heart. All right. Now, we're going to take this training and we're going to begin with solving real world problems. Now, as we go through this, you may step in the story. You may know someone with the problem. You may have the problem. Or you may used to have the problem. Or you may think you may one day have a problem. But what I want you to do is to lock in and watch the process, the mindset of actually creating and engineering solutions to problems. And we're going to do a couple of problems in this masterclass, and that's how you get good mastery, is simply repeating things over and over. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to lay down the foundation, and we're going to solve real world problems. Here's the first problem. And we want to make sure we understand the rules of engagement, mental rules of engagement, spiritual rules of engagement. We don't take advantage of anyone. We help people at our highest level, which means we basically have a fiduciary responsibility. That'll come up a little later as we go through here. But here's the problem we want to address. We have a residential investor, and it doesn't have to be a residential investor. It can be a commercial investor, okay, who desires to purchase commercial properties but doesn't have the confidence or know how to proceed. That's the problem. Now, we have to make sure we do recognize the problem. Didn't say this is a residential investor who desires to purchase commercial properties but doesn't have any money. Didn't say that. Or doesn't have a desire. Didn't say that. The problem here is an issue of confidence and know-how. That's the problem that we want to solve on this problem. Now, on our other problems, you have people with a little different problem. We're going to solve this one first during this session. And then in our next session, we're going to solve this problem. An investor desires to purchase a commercial property but doesn't have any capital. That's new. Credit, that's different. Or knowledge. Has confidence, though. All right? The point I'm making is we have to be real clear about the problem because we want to bring a solution to the problem. We don't want to miss the problem. Like here, thinking the investor doesn't have capital. And the first investor doesn't have capital, has capital, but doesn't have confidence. This investor has confidence, but doesn't have capital. We don't want to miss the mark here. We want to be real dialed in. So we're going to address the problems and we separate them. Third problem that we're going to deal with in a different session will be an individual that desires to purchase a business but doesn't have sufficient capital. Now, it says doesn't have sufficient, which means he has some, but not enough. He doesn't have sufficient capital, doesn't have sufficient credit, doesn't have sufficient knowledge. That's the problem. And that's the problem that we're going to address. Now, as you go through these process of identifying a problem, a person looking to purchase a property with no money, no capital, no credit has a different problem than the one who wants to purchase a property, has capital, but doesn't have the confidence, doesn't have the know-how. That's different, okay? But all of those problems we can actually address, and the process to solving problem 1 and the problem 3 is the same. And we're going to actually go through that process with you. All right, we're going to begin with some questions. And this is how I begin with all of these situations. It's a question thing. You want to get good at asking questions, not just to others, but also to yourself. All right. Now, question one that I'm going to ask myself is, do I know anyone with this problem? And the reason there is, if I know someone with this problem, I can talk to them and get intel about the problem, how did they get it? What steps and actions have they taken to solve it? And if they have already solved it, and if they have solved it, I'd like to know, what was your solution? Okay, so it's a little intel. That's the first question. Do I know anyone who's been here? All right. Next question. Do I think that there just may be other people that have the same problem? And that's going to tell me a lot. Because if I can solve this problem, regardless of what it is, and there are a lot of people with the same problem, then I think I need to focus on presenting one solution to solve all these problems. All right. Now, that opens up another door that just identifies a market space if you want to go there. All right. Next question is, how would I solve it? If I know and find out, that's the question. So we asked a lot of questions. And the last question, which is the question that most people are most concerned about, is, what would you charge for this solution? If I could fix your problem of purchasing a property, or giving my first guy the confidence and the know-how, and I'm able to deliver that, plus, over deliver, then what should I charge him for it? And why? How do we determine the value of the solution? We'll cover that later, right? But for now, think about that. And lastly, what we do is we check ourselves, because if you would charge me $10,000 for the solution to this problem, that's what you say, you'll charge me $10,000. My question to you is, what would you pay for this solution? Would you pay the same $10,000? Because if you can't say yes to both of them, you're in denial, and there's a conflict that will screw your deals up. All right? So don't tell me you'll sell it for $20,000, but you won't, but you'll buy it for $1. You get my point? Think about that in terms of values. Now, let's solve this problem. We want to make sure we understand clearly what we are addressing, and we're only going to address this problem. We got a guy who wants to do something, has the capital, the resources, the motivation, but he doesn't have the confidence or the know-how to actually move forward. And we're going to help him. All right. So, mindset, check. First responsibility, my first responsibility and your first responsibility in dealing with any of these transactions with other people goes back to being the servant. You're responsible. Is you're functioning as a fiduciary. Now, what does that mean? Everything you do has to benefit and has to be for the benefit and on behalf of your client. You can't tell the lender to charge 10% when he will only pay, when you can get 6%. You can't do that for your client. You could do that for you. You can't say, well, lender, pay me 10 and I get him to pay it. The fiduciary responsibility does this. How much is the rate on the loan? It's 5%. I like to get it down to 3%. Say, well, the only way we can get it down to 3% is you have to buy it down. So instead of me making 2 points, I take my 2 points and I buy down the rate on my client's loan. That's the fiduciary responsibility. Everything I do here has to benefit my client, not me. I'm going to be taken care of. And as I mentioned previously, it's counterintuitive. It's a check on your gut, on your greed. You got to do the right thing. All right? So remember, you're working for the client. So I work on the behalf of my clients first and foremost. And I accept and acknowledge and that I am aware that I do have a fiduciary responsibility. Now, here's how we're going to solve this problem. There's a process that I just go through. All right. And it's a brain thing. I'm going to fire up my brain cells because I'm going to create solutions and I'm going to fix this problem. Now, how do I do that? Well, first of all, and you can do the same, I'm going to rely on my own experience. Everybody can help somebody somehow. If you got a job, and I don't care where you work, you can fix some problems. It doesn't matter what your job is. Everybody can help somebody fix a problem because everybody can fix some kind of problem. All right. So in this scenario, I'm going to use my experience and my creativity first. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to think through this first. I'm going to do that with a pencil and a pad. And I encourage you to do the same. All right. And here's what I know I can do because I've done it. I can provide financing up to 80% minimum. I can even get up to 98 and 100 in some cases, in some circumstances, even 105% financing. How do I know? I've done that. So I don't have any doubt or any confidence or lack of confidence in my ability to actually do this because I've done it. I can negotiate with the sellers, the agents, and lenders for prices, rates, and terms before. Why? I've done it. So it's no mystery thing. I know exactly how to do that. I reviewed, evaluated, and approved documents because I've done it. My experience. And your experiences are different, but you want to rely on your experiences first because that is where your core competency is. I've prepared and can prepare the offer to purchase on properties, multiple offers at one time because I've done that. Now, this is my experience. This is, you want to occupy your space, be the king of your thing. You do. And that's what this is. Your knowledge is your first resource that you have, and you have to tap into it. And sometimes it's going to involve getting a pencil and paper and writing down the things you do know how to do. All right. And that's kind of what you're seeing here. I'm doing a self-evaluation of myself first to see what solutions I may already have or what combinations of experiences I can combine and connect to come up with something new. Now, it's interesting that this training platform is a result of me doing this with an individual. The individual wanted to buy some property. One of the students wanted to buy some property and had no money, no credit, and no know-how. So this solution is one of this process created that solution, and that problem too is the actual problem and the actual solution, but it was all done through this exact same process. So there's a mental shift. You have to get your mind off yourself, get out your way, and focus on helping someone at your highest level. I'll provide my clients with a property profile. What is that? I basically tell you what I can and can't do and what you should and should not look at, what will and won't work. Because of what we're doing here with the confidence with my client, the problem that we're solving, you can't do any fixer-upper stuff. So that won't work. In our scenario here, to give him the confidence, the properties have to be fixed and up and running. No added value to play here. So we're not, junk stuff won't work. We ain't fixing nothing. It doesn't work. It won't work for this problem. All right. Now, how can my experience of all those things I just shared help me to solve this problem? Well, we're going to play the financing game. All I need to reach a very conclusive conclusion is my financial calculator. Now, if you don't have one, it's okay. You can pull one down online. In my masterclass, you got a whole training section on using this device. This is your best friend. I go through 3 a year. I wear them out. The keys just disappear. You just wear them out. I use them. All right. So here's how this works. I'm going to say a lot of things over and over because repetition is the mother of perfection, so you'll get it. I can secure the financing up to 90% of the cost of this property. Now remember, what I'm doing here, what you're experiencing, it doesn't require any money on my behalf. I'm simply leveraging my knowledge and my experience. That's all. And knowledge and experience is transferable, which means you can watch and learn this from my experience and transfer it into your experience and make it your own. And you don't need any money to do that, but you do have to dial in. You have to be in the moment. All right. So I can secure the financing up to 90% of the cost. All right. I can negotiate. I know how to negotiate, when to negotiate, and what to negotiate. And I can do that with the lenders, with the sellers, with the realtors, and with buyers. Done it. Been there. All right. I can get properties pre-approved. Confidence. Remember the problem. Didn't have the confidence and the know-how. I'm leveraging here my know-how. And in the process of sharing my know-how with him, you're going to naturally fix the confidence issue. And then I'm going to propose a solution, a program, a path for him. Okay? I hope you guys are dialed into what I just said. All right? I'm going to have to interact effectively with lenders, and I've done that. And I know how to do that. So that's an easy step. And I'm going to review all the documents and edit and modify the changes. You're going to edit the lender's documents? Absolutely. I mean, I know how to get that done. Just as I can assume a non-assumable loan, I can do that. There's no such thing as a non-assumable loan. However, I'm going to go through the documents to make sure that the document doesn't have terms or penalties in them that will hinder my client's confidence. Remember who I'm working for. You can't lose sight of that. All right. And I'm going to prepare, and this is what I can do, and present and structure the offers. I can, with my own software, I just log in, enter the data, and create an offer in 5 minutes. I can do that. And present the offer and justify the offer. And I can do that with sellers or their agents. So you can? Yeah, done that. Okay. I'm leveraging my knowledge. Remember, I'm bringing my best value at my highest level to serve my client. You're seeing that. That's what this is. This isn't so much of what I can do. It's what I'm going to leverage. I'm going to give these resources away to the benefit of my client. Well, you're not going to make any money doing that. Oh, please, you just stick around. All right. Next, what else can I do? I have guided and instructed clients on property profiles based on the objective. On new construction, it's different. On portfolio acquisitions, it's different. On business projects, it's different. So I can create a profile, a property profile for my client. And what does that do? The benefit in that. The benefit to him in that is that he doesn't have to waste his time looking at properties that won't work. And he'll only focus on properties that will work. He'll only find deals that we can do and not look at deals that we hope we can get done. So that's why. That's the value of that profile. All right. And I can, and what I am and will be doing indirectly is I'm going to coach and mentor the client for more deals. Now, remember, we looked in the market in that second question about, do you think there are a lot of people with this problem? It may well be a couple 100,000 people with the problem. You can Google it and find out. It's not hard to find out. But I don't care to work with 50 or 60 people, right? I'd rather work with one person, give that one person my best, my highest level of service, and do 10 deals with that one person. Take this one person, client, and provide him, fix the confidence and the know-how. That's what we're doing. And then we're going to provide him with a path to actually build a real estate empire. And I'm going to help him do that. I'd rather do that with one person than with 20, 30 other people. So I'm a long-term player here. Okay? Now, I also know how to create and structure notes. That's what that calculator is for. I know how to, with that calculator, I can make the numbers work. You're going to see me do that. But first, we have to do this preliminary stuff here. All right? Now, how do I create a solution? Remember, not profit, not make money, but a solution for my client. And here's the process. You want to write this down because you have to do this. If you won't do what I'm going to show you, you won't be able to do any of this. You'll be curious, but not serious. You'll be a spectator and not a player. All right? So you have to do this. Don't try to do this in your head. You have to literally do this. This is where the work begins. All right? You're going to make the list. Making this list is essential to finding the path to the solution. This is the do thing. All right? You know what I want you to do? You're going to have to think on paper. Don't try to think in your head. Don't try to think on your phone. You can take notes on the phone after you've made your list, but not here. You need to have this list making process is going to pull what's in your head down your arm through a pencil onto a piece of paper, and that's going to be your first reality of it. But that's how you're going to have to pull it down. You can't put it down on your iPhone. You can't put it down on your iPad. You're pulling it over. You don't want to pull it over. You got to pull it down. All right? And here's the list. Let's go here. I'm going to create a list of all the things that need to be done in this process. So for this, my scenario, I made a list of all of the steps in securing a commercial loan. The do's, the don'ts, the wills, the won'ts. All right? That was what I did. I also created a list of all the things I can do. Because see, in this loan processing thing, there are some things I have no control over. So what I'm going to list here are the things that I do have control over, or if you want to do a deep dive on it, you make a list of all the things you think, the things that you can do or can provide. See, if I can provide him with a solution to his problem, it's payday. But if I can't solve the problem, it's lay day. Ain't nothing going to happen. You got that? So making this list of all the things I can provide and things that can contribute to a solution, I have to list all of the things that I can do and that I can provide. All of them. What can you do? You saw we started that earlier, but here you have to do this. All right. And then I need to make a list of all the things that the client can do, what he can provide. Now remember, the problem I'm solving here is confidence and know-how. He has the money. That's not the issue. He doesn't have the confidence to invest the money. So I have to fix that. So in terms of the things that he has to do is he can provide the money, the resources for the deal. That's not the problem we're solving here. We solve that in problem 2. And what I do is I organize my solutions as a simple process. That's a little brain work because you're going to move stuff around off your pad. You start numbering things. And then I identify the things I can provide and the things a client can provide. And I put those together side by side to make sure I have all of the pieces connected and all of the dots and pieces are fitted, that nothing's missing and nothing's broken. And then I make a bullet list of all the benefits of this solution to my client. And you're going to see all of this done. And this is how it goes. And then I'm going to present my solution. First, I'm going to present it to myself in paper and reassess, evaluate, and make sure I didn't miss anything. And I'm going to continue to think through this process. And lastly, I'm going to determine the value of my solution. Bottom line, what is it really worth? Depends on who you ask. Depends on how you create it and how you present it. Determines what it's worth. And you're going to see how that's done. All right. And then, what if I present this solution, do all of this work, present the solution to the problem, and the client says no? What about that one? How likely is it? Very likely, depending on how and what you are, problem you're solving. See, the bigger the problem, the more money you can make from it. The bigger the problem, the more valuable the solution is. Even though it may not require any extra work, it's the solution that matters. You got it? In other words, it takes the same amount of effort to solve a $500,000 problem as it takes to solve a $50 million problem. But if you don't know that, in your head, you'll stumble over the numbers. But the solution's the same. Same steps, same process to solve a $500,000 problem as it takes to solve a $50 million problem. But most people can't go there. They stumble in their heads. You stumble in your head. You got to remember, you're looking at the numbers instead of closing your eyes and looking at the solution. You're looking and focusing on what you don't have, don't understand, and don't know, rather than focusing on what you do know, what you do have, and what you do understand. All right? So reality, in terms of thinking this situation through, the reality that the client and the probability and the possibility of an individual saying no to this solution is very, very real and very, very high. And for me to think otherwise is to be a naive. So I have to address that. Okay? We'll get there. Now, lastly, I list the benefits that I'm going to receive from this. Now, I'm going to benefit from this, and you're going to see it, but I'm not doing it exclusively for benefiting from it. Remember, my core values are in check. But the way this works, it's going to be a lot of benefits that'll come out of this for me because my head and my heart and my motives are correct. Okay? So I'm going to have a list of the benefits I'm going to achieve from solving this problem, in addition to the benefits my client's going to receive. So everybody's winning here on different levels. All right? And lastly, I'm going to determine a price for my solution. And I want to over deliver on it too. I'm not going to nickel and dime, no upsells and, one time offer 2, OTF 3, none of that. This and that. All right. So let's talk about the things. Let me show you. You want to make those lists. Write this down. You need to create a list. See, ideally what you want to do is make a list of the things that you can actually do, whether it's real estate, financing, nursing, healthcare, automotive, childcare, accounting, attorneys, whatever it is. Make a list of the things you can do. 1. Now, out of that list, select the things you like to do. Put a circle around them. Put a star by them. Okay? And then next, circle the things that you like doing. You need at least 3 of them. And then the hard part. Here's the hard part. And the things, 2 of them, that you're very good at. Not half good. Very good at. Okay? Things you know and the things you are good at. You want to connect those because that's where your place in your space of power is. That's where your treasure is. That's where your gifts are operating. It's the thing you are so good at doing and love doing, you're going to do it whether you made a dime or not. It didn't matter. You don't do it for money. You do it for self-fulfillment. It's just in your DNA, whatever it is. And that's the thing you're probably real good at. And that's probably where your gift functions. And the sad part about it, you're the last person to see it. Everyone else knows it but you. Because for you, it's natural. You thought everybody knew this, or felt this way, or liked to do this thing. For you, it's natural. So when you find the thing make that list, identify the things you're good at and that you like, that's where you need to go. That's your space. That's your place. That's where you need to occupy. And it doesn't matter what sector of business you're actually in. I'm simply applying those principles to my space in my sector because it's the stuff I know, right? Because if you're in nursing, the stuff you know, giving people shots and taking temperatures and all that stuff, to you it's no big. Oh, everyone just gave him an Immunon. It's just an IV. It's no big deal to you. This for me is like that. It's because it's the thing I know and the thing that I'm good at. Okay, so that puts me in my space and my place of power. This is not work for me. This is easy. I like solving these types of problems. Now, if you got a headache or a leg ache or a broke toe, I'm not your guy. Can't help you. Do 911. But if it's a financing situation problem, I can help you. I can fix that. All right. So those principles, I want you to integrate in your psyche, regardless of what you do, because as I move forward, this gets more involved, but it's built on a foundation. And if you aren't dialed in, it'll be confusing to you. And I get that. But it's only confusing to you. It's not confusing to me. It's because I'm in my space and in my place. I'm doing my thing. I'm the king of my thing in my space. You got it? So you can do the same thing too. And the reason I paused here is because you can apply these strategies in whatever sector you're in. I'm simply applying the principles of serving others first, operating from my position of power, using my knowledge and my experience, and applying those skill sets and that experience to solve a problem for another person at my highest level. You can do the same thing. All right. Now, that's how this works. So I have a vision of exactly how and what I can do to solve this problem. This was an easy problem, oh, by the way. It's just I could solve this problem on the telephone. But unfortunately, I have a video here, and I'm doing a class, so I had to do the visual stuff. But I didn't have to do all of this to solve the problem. It's counterintuitive. It's a natural flow. Now, what do I have to do next? There are 10 things that I can provide. Now, I listed several of them. If you make the list, you will be able to answer the question. But if you won't make the list and identify the things, you won't. Right here, you're done. You're out. You're finished. Whoop! Done. All right? Exit. Stage left. So you have to, the section where I emphasize you have to do this, this is where the work is, you have to do that. Because if you don't do that when we get here, you can't do this. You strike out. You're out. You're a fan. You're not a player. All right? Now let me show you the 10 things that I pulled out of my list that I can do. 1, I can provide the financing. No issue with that. 2, I can get them to buy your checklist of things to do. Remember, the problem was confidence and know-how. The checklist is going to tell him what to do, how to do it, and that process in itself is going to give him confidence. I'm going to be there to fix this, and I'm going to underwrite the properties for him. You say, you're going to do it? Well, I'm going to have it done. I can deliver on this. I don't have to do it. I have to know how to get it done. And I'm going to review, inspect, and approve all those documents. Now, if you dialed in here and you tracking what's going on, you're going to see a pattern of repetition. All that began at the beginning of me writing down the things that I can do from my own experience. I don't have to go learn this. I don't have to go get AI to make me no list. This is coming from within. I can review and inspect and improve all the documents. And what I'm doing, I'm putting this on my list to present to my client. And I want you to watch how this works. And then I can negotiate with lenders and sellers and agents, and I let them know, and I do that for you too. And I prepare the initial offers for you, and we'll go over them together, and I explain it to you and why. So you don't put a contract down and you don't write earnest money checks and give them to real estate agents. We don't do that. I'll prepare a letter of intent, go over it, and we'll submit it, and I'll be there to back it up and to represent it. That's what you get with this. I'm solving the problem. Remember, confidence. And I'm present to explain the offers and to back it up. Why? I wrote it up. You don't write stuff up and can't back it up. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to defend my offer. I'm going to represent my client. He's not going to be taken advantage of. And that's why I insist on being engaged in the process. She says, why am I involved at this level? Long term, remember. I'm a partner, and in this process, what I'm actually doing, and if you can do it, you'll do it too, I'm establishing my value, my relevance. Okay? You say, well, I don't know how to do that. Then you need to fix it. But that's what I'm doing. You'll hear my confidence, even to the extent in some places it sounds like arrogance, but it's not. I'm advocating on behalf of my client, and I'm committed and understand the rule of greatness, of servanthood, and I'm very aware of my fiduciary obligation to my client. He said, well, what about you? You ain't making no money. Oh, please. You just stick around and watch how this play out. As long as I keep my focus right, the funds will fall right. But if I lose my focus and it's all about money and not about helping him, my client, or you, if you're the client, then I lose. You lose, and I lose. I'll probably rip you off, take your money and run, or give you a solution that won't work. And then I Houdini on you. Yeah. It happens. It's happened to me. We can't do that. We have to stay committed to the process. And here it's committed to your values. Because the way I could look at this, we could get your problem solved, and you do one deal and you gone. Even worse, yeah, you disappear. We don't want to do that. That's the short-term wholesale flipper game. We're not playing it. We're looking to build a long-term relationship, and I have to convince my client that there is no better person to build that relationship than me. There's no one that can bring a higher value to him than me. There's no one that's going to look out for him better than me. I have to convey that. You got it? Okay. So I can present and explain. That's what all of this is about, is building added value and over-delivering. All right. Now, framework time. Well, this I have control over. These are the things that I can actually do. I provide this. I set this bar from 1 million to 3 million on my first deal. So, well, why not 5? We're not doing 5. This is my game. This is not Burger King. Your way. No, this isn't that. And let me tell you why. My minimum loan is 1 million, and my maximum is 3 million. And that's on the first deal only. Why is that? This is a test ground. Because what we want to do is do one deal, and let's see if we still be friends. So sometimes you do one deal, you're one and done. And I feel that. So, well, I'll do a $30 million deal, so if they run and do one and they done, then we good. No. We're going to keep it low. We're going to make this easy. Remember, we're not in it. We want a long-term player, and we're going to test the integrity and the quality of our client on the first deal. And he's going to get to test mine as well. We're going to all get to, everybody gets to play, do their thing. You know, and if he doesn't deliver, he's out. If I don't deliver, I'm out. So we're not committed. So this is like a test deal. We get to test, I get to test him. He get to test me. Get to test the system, test the process, and we can, why is that important? He be comfortable with it. Hear me. It's important that he be comfortable with the process and with me. Hello, okay? Because I want him to do this over and over and over and over again. That's why. Okay? So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to fix the confidence stuff. And the know-how, there's certain things he doesn't want to know how to do. He just want to know how to get it done. All right? I also want him to know, and will convey, and I'm doing it to you too, after closing support. I'm not like the real estate agent, lead a closing, and they're out. You get a Christmas card, that's it. This ain't that. This is a long-term play. After the closing, I'm there to advise on the management agreement, on running the property efficiently, selecting the right management company and make sure your management fees are in line with what's reasonable, dealing with the accounting system, security, the cost. Remember, I'm a partner here on this. What do you see how I take my partnership? But here, the things that I'm sharing here are the things that makes him want me to be a partner with him because of these things. This is my value. You have to do the same thing. All right? And indirectly, what actually happens here is he's mentored and prepared and primed for bigger transactions. With who? With me. How many clients? One. I don't need 10, hundreds of thousands. I need one. Okay? Now, let's continue. He has a responsibility too. We make everything clear, transparent, up front. No secrets. He used to put 20% of the purchase price in this deal. So that means he has to have the capital. He says he can do 30. That's fine. So we do a proof of funds, verification of deposits before we move forward. This isn't an honor system. All right. He has to provide me with the documents I ask him for on the property. I'm not talking about tax returns and that kind of stuff. We're talking about rent rolls on multifamilies and 2 years income and expense statements. If we're doing the net lease properties or mini storage properties, it's a little different. And what I do is I simply give him a list of the documents that I require. So in this scenario, my client wants to buy apartment buildings, pretty straightforward. 2 years income and expense statements and the current rent rolls. That's all we need. Why? What I do that's different, that he doesn't know, nor does he need to know, because it's my thing, not his thing, is that I simply take the income from the property to secure the loans. Most people get appraisals, opinions, surveys, and look at sales comparables to determine the value of a property. We aren't doing that. We aren't doing that kind of financing. That's credit-based financing. We're doing income-based financing. So all of the properties that we look at, they have to have income. Empty buildings won't work. Fixer-uppers won't work. Junk real estate won't work. Added value doesn't work here. Because the properties don't have income, then they automatically default into the credit-based market, which means Freddie, Fannie, FICA, all of that comes into play where it's a credit play and money. But when we're dealing with income properties, and I'm talking about 4 units, I'm talking about, real commercial properties, income properties, let me just not say commercial properties, but be a little more clear. Income producing properties. When we're dealing with income producing properties, we can take the income from the property to qualify for the loan. The property will stand on its own footing. You say, well, why will it do that? Because it has income. If it doesn't have the income, then you are going to have to guarantee it. You are going to have to qualify, and you're going to have to do a credit-based game. We don't want to do that. So we stay with income properties, which means what? We eliminate the fixer-uppers and properties that are not cash flowing or properties that are underperforming. And we have a framework. That's why. All right. So I need for him to give me the documents that I need based on what our objectives are and what types of properties he's looking at. And ideally, the type of property you want to look at is going to be the ones you can get financed. Hello. Hint, hint. Okay. Now, let's continue here. I'm owner. His responsibility is to locate the property based on a framework that I provided. And he's to do the property inspection. We don't do that. We can refer him to property companies that will go out and do the inspection, but we're simply a referral. We are not engaged in that process. And he has to manage the property. And he's 100% owner. All of the profits and equity is his, not mine. He said, well, I don't understand how you be an equity partner and you ain't got no equity. Oh, just stick around. You'll get there. You'll see it. But see, what you're experiencing and seeing is that I'm not concerned about me. My focus is on delivering my best deal, my best efforts to my client. And I'm going to tell you something. If you will do that, your whole world will change. Instead of me focusing, how much can I charge for this? How much can I charge for that? We won't charge that. That's you in your way. He who is the greatest among you is a servant of others. Serve people. Here we're simply serving a solution, but it's a good one. And you're going to like it. I mean, that's what you want to do. We're not serving problems. We're not delivering con games. We're not trickery. We're not doing any of that. We're operating at a completely different level, and it's a spiritual level. It's not a carnal thing here. It's some spiritual principles that are being applied here. And then when I told you initially, it's a little counterintuitive. Your head's going to go against you. So, well, I don't get this. You giving away all this stuff, He ain't making no money on this. I don't know if I can do that because, man, I would have charged him for that. I would have charged for that. I would charge for this. Yeah, and that's probably why things aren't working for you. It's all about you. That's a selfish attitude. You're living in a world of scarcity. I'm not concerned about you reaping a return here. It's naturally going to happen. You're going to see it. Okay? All right. I'm going to rant on that. And here it gets all of the write-offs. They're his. He said, well, I still don't understand how you going to win on this. Oh, trust me. I win in the end. But first, my client has to win. If you are my client, you have to win first. All right? Now, why? I have to make my client smile. Your client smile? The last time you spent $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 on something, were you smiling? Well, if you weren't, you didn't feel good. We want anyone working with us, the value to be so good that it makes them smile, not frown. So, question for you. When was the last time you had a client to smile? Can you make them smile? Or is it about them making you smile? And let's talk about that. Because, see, if you miss it on the serving thing, it's because you're desiring to be served. Rather than to serve. And if you are desiring to be served, then that means you're a servant. And that means you aren't going to be the greatest. You're going to be the least. In a lot of cases, that's why a lot of people don't have much, is because of that. And they don't even realize it. You feel me? Okay. So here what we're talking about is the client's responsibility. That's all he has to do. That's what he has to do. He has to put 20% down, give me the documents that I tell him I need. He has to find the property. He has to do the inspection report. He's responsible for managing it. He's 100% owner. All of the profits and equity and cash flow are his, and all the write-offs are his. That's it. Well, I still don't get it. You'll get it. Now, here's what I get. What I get to give him in terms of what he receives. Repetition, the mother of perfection. Step-by-step process. That's what I just created here. For him, you're going to see it. The financing for him is already provided, so you don't have to worry about that. We fixed the confidence issue. The property checklist, I'm going to give it to him so he'll know what. Don't bring no stuff in here that won't work. I'm going to give him a list of the things that will work, so I don't have to worry about him providing the stuff that won't work. So we won't waste each other's time, all right? The pre-approvals before committing, I got that. I'm going to do a document review. I covered that. I'm going to have a direct communication line with him. That's connection is important. People and connections with people are important. And I realize that. And here I'm making that a part of my benefits to him. One, long-term partner, not a short-term player. You got post-closing support, talked about that. Need help with the management contracts or reviews, we're going to check him on it and give him a checklist of things to check after the acquisition and inspection, basically a forensic audit on the new property. So why are we concerned? We are an equity partner in it. We want to make sure the property is cash flowing sufficiently and efficiently. Why? We profit and benefit from that. You say, I thought it was his. It is his property. But we are equity partner. You're going to see how this works. But this is first. His offers are prepared for him, so he don't have to worry about that. He don't have to hire an attorney. How do you hire an attorney to get an offer? And putting up earnest money and giving it to real estate agents, hoping that thing play out and all that. This is different. He doesn't have to do that. And he don't have to present the offers. I present them with and for him. And most importantly, and even for you, most importantly, with this program that you're looking at and going to see, it is a path for empire building as a joint venture partner. Okay? Now, let's continue. So, what do we require? What do you require? What do I require? We've revealed what we're going to deliver, what we can do. And now we're going to talk about what we require to do this. So you say, hey, Jack, you like the program? You're interested? You want to, oh, man, I love it. I'd like to do that. Well, here's what you need to do and understand to begin. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what we actually going to provide. All right. Now, one, what I require to do this is 10 to 15% equity position in this property to be secured as a second or third mortgage. Wow. You say, well, that's a lot. Compared to what? I'm saying I can justify this. I think that's a small thing to ask for when you consider all of the things that I'm offering on the front end. I already showed you what I'm going to do. I don't want your tax write-offs. I don't want your appreciation. I don't even want no ownership. It's all yours. So if it's $1 million property, and if it's a $1.3 million property, and I negotiated the property down, I did, to $1 million, my equity is tied to your purchase price of $1 million, not the 1.3. Will your realtor do that? Will you got a realtor that'll make an offer on a property, and you make an offer for the property on the market for 1.3, and they say, oh, make the offer for $1 million. No, they're gonna say make it for 1.5. The motivation shifted. This is different on the completely opposite end of the spectrum. So 10 to 15%. And as you can see, we are prepared to defend this or to justify. And if you think that 10 to 15 is unreasonable, I'm setting you up now for a negotiation session. If you think that 10 to 15% equity in this project is excessive, then what would work for you? That's a negotiation. I'm setting right there. I put the individual in a position, if this is not good enough or is excessive, then what do you suggest? Because it doesn't matter to me. You got to remember, I'm putting time, knowledge, and intellectual knowledge in here. I'm not putting any real money in this, but I'm putting out 10% equity. And if the 10% is too much, you say, well, what do you suppose? You say, well, I want to do 8.5. You think I'm going to fight over that? I said, well, 8.5 we'll do. Why? Why would I just say, okay, let's do that? Remember, you want my client smiling, one, and you're looking for a long-term relationship. You want to do another deal. If I let 10 or 15 or any of these numbers become deal killers or issues, or hold my gun and it's a 10% and they ain't taking a dime less. If I got that attitude here, there will not be a second deal. Okay? Greed just killed that. You got it? But I can justify 10. And you have to be able to justify yourself also. All right? So I require that. And it's secured as a second mortgage. I'm going to show you what that looks like. But let me give you the terms on this thing. And what I require to do this, if you like the process and you want to participate, you don't want to be a spectator, you want to be a player, you don't want to be a fan, you want to be on the field in the game, the admission and the price is 10% equity secured as a second mortgage on this property, not an owner. And let me tell you what's happening here. This is about as close as you're going to ever get to having a bank right here. Because I'm going to create a note. All right. I require $10,000 commitment fee. You say, $10,000? Yeah. Now remember, we're dealing with $1 million property. Let's do some math here. We're dealing with $1 million property. All right. I'm bringing 800,000 of it to the table for you. I'm going to get that. Okay. That's the 80%. You need to have the 200,000 to put in to get it. My 800 plus your 200 is $1 million. This 10,000 is to commit you to the process. I don't want to go get the 800,000 and you don't show up. I said, I decided I'm going to just stay with the single family homes. Or something called life happens, and then I've wasted my time. So to assure that you are going to be at the closing, I require a $10,000 commitment fee. He said, well, I don't want to pay the $10,000 commitment fee. Yes, you do. And you will. Here's why. It's 100% refundable. At the closing, I give it back to you. If you don't show up, you don't get it. If you do, you do. And what we do a paper exchange. I give you your $10,000 back, and you give me my security deed, and I'm out. That's the deal. That's the play. That's the plan. That's the strategy. You got it? All right. Now, here's the solution here for me in terms of what I've just done. All right. I want you to see this. This requires no capital for me to do. I don't need a partner. I don't even need you to do it. And I need no credit. I provide the financing solution in exchange for equity. That's what I've done. I control the deal size, 1 million, maximum 3 on the first deal for a reason. I provide the property profile, guidelines, and guess where I get it from? I get it from the lender. I do and provide you with the underwriting, the pre-underwriting, and where do I get that from? The lender does that for me. And I secure the financing. I negotiate with the lenders and the sellers for the best deal. I inspect the documents for you, prepare the initial offer using the document creator. Those of you who have Top Gun websites, you have that in the back office. And I present the offer and explain it. Now here's the question. Does this solve the problem of confidence and know-how? So I'm going to do the know-how and provide him with a list of the things to do. And in that process, of those sequences of those events, he gets confidence. And where is his confidence? His confidence is in the process, and his confidence is in me, and his confidence is in the fact that he's not alone. And for me, I have a partner who has confidence in me and comfortable because I'm competent, and I'm going to assist him in building a real estate empire. That one person. You got it? Okay. Now, what does he get? Well, everybody gets something now. There's no losers in the game. He's 100% owner. Remember the repetition. It's a program. Initially, I sold this program over the telephone. I didn't have all this stuff you have. All right. I evolved and negotiated it, and I had to make some changes because on my initial transaction I did last year, I charged too much on the front end. I charged $30,000, but the transaction didn't net but $15,000. So I had to write a check. Why? The deal didn't fund itself. But we fixed that. But here, my partner gets 100% ownership, 100% of all the equity, 100% of all the appreciations, 100% of the write-offs, 100% of all the income is his. Headaches too now. And all the profits, if he sells it, they're his. Now, that's the actual solution. All right. Now, what we want to look at is, let's look at the layout of our solution and how it's actually structured. All right. We're playing with numbers now. This is when a calculator comes into play. The master, we're going to do some numbers here. So the main thing is now I'm finna get paid. Remember, I'm last. He who is the greatest among you is the least. That's last. That's me. Now let's see if there's any greatness here. One, I'm going to do a third lien. And here's the deal. The terms on the lien is 10 years. The interest rate is 0. You say, 0? How are you going to make money on that? Trust me. You'll see. The thing you have to comprehend, and I know it's not easy to do, is I'm creating debt, secured debt. Hear me? I'm creating secured debt out of thin air for the asking. Okay? Think about it. Mine no loan because now I'm the bank. I'm loaning money out in this case, $100,000 at zero interest. It's fully assumable. It's not a due on sale clause. All right. And I have a subordination fee. Now, all of these fees, let me emphasize this. This fully assumable fee can be $5. That's on you. It could be 1% of the balance. That's on you. It could be $500. That's on you. Okay? How you do that is on you. The subordination fee, I have $500. It could be $5,000. It could be $6,000. Or it could be $6. Okay? You get my point here? You control this. All of this, you control. You are engineering a transaction. That's what we're doing here. However, we do have a prepayment penalty. A prepayment penalty of 25%? Oh, man, that's a lot. Well, you want me to defend that? I mean, because I can. I can. If we have to go there, I can go there. Do you want to go there? Well, 25%, I ain't never heard no prepayment penalty that much. Okay, George. Then here's my question for you. Why would you want to pay off this 10-year loan at zero interest? Well, I just don't want no debt on my property. Why you don't want no debt? Well, I want to be free and clear. But, okay, why do you want it to be free and clear? Well, I just want it free and clear. I just don't want no debt on it. Well, most people object to debt because of the cost of the money. See, when you go to the bank and you were to borrow this $100,000, the bank's not going to do zero interest. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for the use of their money. And that's why the banks charge interest rates and lenders charge interest rates, is to use their money. See, in the money market, there are two groups of people. There are those who buy money, and there are those who sell it. The bank sells money. They just don't do it at zero interest. And the reason debt is bad is because the interest can be so high. You're going to see that in a minute. And you want to terminate the debt because of the compounded interest associated with it. Yeah, that's why I don't want none of it. Well, this isn't that, because you aren't paying for anything on it. You're paying zero interest. And the logic here is that if you don't get that and you insist on paying off a zero interest loan, then that definitely should be a penalty for you. And that's why the 25% prepayment penalty is in there, because really, Harold, there is no rational or reasonable justification for paying off a zero interest loan. Oh, okay. I didn't, yeah, that makes sense now. All right. So I can back up my offering. Let's look at these numbers now and show you how this works. Here's the property. Remember, my equity value is tied to the purchase price, not the value. This property was on the market for $1.3 million. I negotiated it down to $1 million. You said, you negotiated it down? Why you do that? Why didn't you get it? Don't you make more money if you go up? This isn't that. That's not this. No. I have a different value stick. My value ladder is completely different from that. I'm not motivated by running prices up. My value is added by getting my client the best deal that I can give him on the best terms, at the best rate, at the best price. It was on the market for 1.3. I did a little thing and asked them, make the offer for 1.1, not 1.4. If I was a real estate agent, I would say, well, you want to raise the price. They ask for 1.3, but it's a whole lot of competition. It's a highly competitive market, and you're not going to get it at 1.3. You might as well. What I think you should do, this is a real estate agent, the professional real estate agent, you should make an offer for 1.35. Why do you want to do that? Seriously. Why? Real value? Real truth? The more you pay, the more they make. Just a fact, Jack. Okay? It ain't picking no bones and throwing no rocks. I'm just saying that's just a fact. My motivation is different. The less you pay, the more I make. So my motivation is different. So my property and value is tied to the purchase price, not the value. Okay? So the $1 million property is the purchase price. 10% equity is what we agreed on. And it's on every deal you do. It don't matter how big it is. Okay? My 10% equity here equates to $100,000. Now let me tell you what I just did here. I just created a $100,000 note against an income producing piece of real estate and don't even have to own it. Now you can own it. I'd rather have the paper. Now if I want, I could get 10% of the equity, 10% of the write-off, 10% of the depreciations. Because I'm in that position, I could do that, but I'm not. I'm not here to do that. I can, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I want the long-term play with this one person. The next person may be a completely different deal, maybe a 12% play. And the equity may be tied to the value. It depends. Here on this is my highest level that I can actually deliver on. It's the highest value I have, all right? So let's understand the numbers. I want you to see, if you understand the fundamentals and the basic rules of engagement, you'll be able to implement and execute the strategies without drama, and you won't let greed mess up your need. You got to get yourself out the way, all right? Now I want you to watch how this works. Now let's do some more numbers. We're not going to lock in here but a minute. All of this is in the Financing Masterclass, okay? If you got a virtual office hosted with Top Gun Web Hosting, you have the tools and the training for running these numbers. Okay? So we're not going to go there. Bottom line, NOI, net. You don't care about gross. Net operating income. Remember, we're going to use income to finance the property. We're determining numbers and running numbers here. NOI. Net operating income is $95,000 annually. That's $9,246 a month. That's what we're working with. We're working with that. We're going to use that monthly cash flow to determine, to work with on our calculations. All right. Now, this commitment fee thing, I told you my take on it. I'm going to do a refundable commitment fee. If you want to do a non-refundable commitment fee, that's your business. Go for it. All right. Now, on this deal, the numbers here. I get 2% of the $800,000, which is $16,000 at closing, the day he owns and take title to it. From that $16,000, I have to give him his $10,000 back, the commitment fee. And what happens here is there's a paper exchange. We're going to exchange green paper, that's the $10,000, for white paper. I call them paper capers. You want to do some paper capers. You right? You see what we're doing here? All right. That leaves me with $6,000 cash. That's the cash. And a $100,000 note. All right. And my total profits off this thing is $106,000. And it was done in 4 weeks. Okay. Take a look at this. I control the deal. The first deal minimum was $1 million to $3 million. Property price was $1 million. Value 1.3. Equity is tied to the purchase price, not the value. Get that? Don't miss that. All right. The 8 units. It's an 8-unit building. He rented out at $1,200 per month. It's $9,600 gross income. Times 12 is $115,000 annually. The NOI is the same, $95,000 a year. That's $9,246 a month. That's the number we're going to work with. And now we finna go to school here. What you're looking at here is a financial equation. This is a chart. This is where we lay the numbers out. Let's go through this quickly. First mortgage I got from the lender for 30 years, 360 payments at 4.76%. The payments are $4,149 a month. That's the balance. The principal amount was the $800,000. There it is. The $800,000, the $4,149 times 360 payments equals total payout of real money, $1,867,962.52. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the power of compounding. That's how it works. Bottom line, you got 800 three times. This is doubled. 8, 16, 800 is 1.6. This is 1.8. So at 4.7%, you hear the rule of 72 and all that stuff applies. We ain't going into that now. But what you want to see here is what compound interest does. So instead of him paying back $800,000, he pays back $1,867,000, which means he's paid basically $1 million more than he had to. He pays $1,067,000 more than he actually borrowed. You want to be on this side of the curve. You got that? Now, what did we do? We just came here on a second mortgage and we got into this game. One exception. We're in the game. We just didn't plug into this. On this one, we didn't. We can on some other ones, but on this one, we didn't. So we stayed with a zero interest loan. And here's why. You can't get any lower than that to begin. So what do? There's my $100,000 note. I take the $100,000 note, divided by 120 payments. It pays me $833 a month for 10 years. 833 times 120 is $100,000. $100,000 he borrowed and $100,000 he paid back. Unlike this, okay? Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So payments, first mortgage, and remember on this first mortgage, we made $16,000 of that. So of the $800,000, $16,000 of it went to you, to me. It's in Hip National Bank. All right. Here you got $833. That's yours. You're going to get that every month for the next 10 years. And if he pays it off earlier, then you're going to get a 25% increase. Penalty, you're going to get whatever the balance is plus 25% if he pays it off early. All right. So debt servicing. You got $9,000 up here to work with. You got $4,000 going out here, $800 going out there. Total debt outlay initially is $4,982. All right. Positive cash flow, $4,263. This property, this one property, generates $4,264 a month cash flow after paying the lender, the expenses, the taxes, the insurance, and me. Okay? You say, well, how did you do that? That's what I do. I say, do your thing. See, you want to be the king of your thing. This is my thing. Okay? Now, let's look at some variations and modifications on the same concept. The only difference here in this chart is over here we're looking at 10%, 12%, 15% equity. And remember, our equity is secured as debt. Now, on some of the other transactions, we don't do that. We do the equity a completely different way. But this is what you want to grasp this, because this is the simplest version here, all right? The terms, it's all 10 years. The interest, still zero. You still doing those zero interest loans, Durante? Yeah, you want one? That's how it works. Yeah, we can do a deal with you at zero interest. I don't have a problem with that because it's not costing me anything. And I'm not creating the notes to sell them or to flip them. I'm creating the notes for residual income. I fund a trust with this. That's all it is. You know, that's why you don't care about this. And you're creating it out of thin air. Now later you can change this. All right? So I want you to notice something. If you look here, the payments, originally zero interest is $833. This one is $1,000 a month. This one is $1,200 a month. Total balance value is $120. Total payout future value is $120. Here, value should be $1,250. It's $150. This is an error. I acknowledge that. should be one. This is the error here. It should be 1,500. All right. I don't know. This may be right, but here's what I want you to see. The same property for $1 million, and this was the difference. I asked for 10% equity, gives me $800 a month. 12% equity gives me $1,000 a month. 15% equity gives me $1,200 a month. Yeah, this is right, because 15% of the $1 million is $150,000. All right. And what did I do to go from 8 to 12? All I did was change the equity. You say, did you put more money in it? No, I just asked for it. That's what's cool about this. All right. So you want to get good at this. This is where the actual engineering is done. Now, let's look at some other ways to modify this. What if, here we go, straight 10%, second mortgage, here the terms, we change the years. By changing the years, still on a zero interest thing, by changing the years, we go from 8, 5, 4, 2. What is that? That's the time value of money. The longer the years, the smaller the payments. You say, well, why would you want to do that? What if you're in a situation where the property doesn't cash flow and you need to get the payments down from 800 to 5 to keep your client smiling and to make sense? Then that's how you do it. You say, well, but you said, well, if you're gonna do that, there's some options you have. Why? If that comes up and the client asks for that, we can make the change, but we don't do zero no more. Zero is no longer a hero. When we bounce away from 10%, 10 years, when you leave the 10-year zone and you go to 15, this changes. I'm just telling you. For illustration purposes, I'm showing you the chart. But reality purposes, the only time I will go from 10 years to 15 is that I'm doing the numbers and I see that they don't work. Then I'll change it. Because I'm not going to present an offer to my client that doesn't cash flow. So if I have to take the note and take it up to 15 years to get the payments to work, or 20 years to get the payments to work, or 30 years to get the payments to work, it's because I chose to do that. But if I present my proposal in numbers and the property cash flows and that greed factor thing kicks into the client's head and they say, well, I really like to get those payments down. If I can get them payments down a couple more $100, then we'll be good. And he comes to me and he brings it up. Then what I do in that scenario, I'll change it. But it will not be zero. It'll be market rates. In what case, what will happen? This 15 years, this will go to 8 and 9% for a minimum. Remember the power we looked at of the compounding on that note? When we do that, we just bounce back into this game. So my 4% will compound. But why? He asked for that, not me. He asked for it. Now, if I make the change to make the deal work, it's going to stay at zero. Because that's the deal. I have to honor my word and look out for my client. I'm aware of my fiduciary responsibility, and I know what the rules of engagement are. He who is the greatest among you is the servant of many. I got that. So I can't, if anybody going to lose, it's going to be me, not him. Okay? Now, let's talk about the structure of this thing. Who is for, who is not for. Well, it's not for first-time investors, obviously. Okay? It's not for wholesalers. It's not for property flippers. It's it's not for short-term investors. We're in this the 5-10 year ride. So it's not a short-term game. And to get into this deal, to qualify your clients quickly, I do a phone interview. Because if I don't like what I hear, I don't want the money. I'm saying it ain't about the money because you're talking about a long-term relationship and you don't want to get hooked up with King Kong and Godzilla. And you can hear King Kong breathing on the phone. And you feel Godzilla's breath over the phone. Why are you going to go get hooked up in that? No, you bounce. So is the phone interview. So you can feel, hear and feel the temperament in the spirit of the person. And if they don't feel good, you don't want their money. It won't work. Okay? Now, remember the cost. See, guys say, hey, I like what you do, Durante. I like the program. I like to do this, man. It works for me. It works for my wife. We can do this. You don't have to worry about all the headache. You're doing all the heavy lifting for us. Well, I said, yeah. He said, well, what does it cost? Well, for me, it's a $10,000 commitment fee. We talked about that. It's a 100% refundable at closing. At the closing, we simply do a paper caper. I give you your greenbacks, you give me my white note, and we good. All right? So the commitment fee is we exchange it for the security deed. And if you don't show up to the closing, then there is no transaction. We done. So the risk and the commitment is on you. I can get you there, but you got to go there. But I ain't going there on no promissory note. This is not no non-profit proposition. And I wasn't a Boy Scout. So your honor doesn't matter here. It ain't about that. You have to establish some credibility. So question 2. Okay, so you do one deal, you get it done, and we go to do the second deal, right? Then do I have to pay a $10,000 commitment fee again? No, but you do have to do 5. Seriously. Yeah. Oh, I can. That's on you. That's me. See, you gotta know the person. That's why you do that first deal at 1 to 3. You'll find out some things. You both will find out things about each other. Now, here's a problem that can occur. And we mentioned and talked about this earlier. What if the investor says, no, I like it, it sounds good, but hey, dude, man, I ain't down with this. I don't care to go there. What you gonna do? Well, what alternatives can you offer? When you say, well, get back with me if things changes. What about offering what? What can you offer? Do we need to deal with this now? You might as well. It's very likely this will happen, all right? Well, I can actually take this course and put it in a membership site and make it available and sell it as a course, a how-to. For $900, $2,500, it's evergreen. I don't have to change it. I could do that. That's one option. We just brainstorming. Or I could set up a 12-month mentoring program for $4,000 to $6,000. So if you can't pay the 10 or don't want to do this, then you could do this. And like I say, your service. Now, you notice one's a product, one's a service. It's a difference. The service is I have to deliver. The products I don't. You got it? The products you get, products you download. The services I have to show up. It's a time thing. Well, we could do that. Or I can also offer your business from my business website, a business credit line where you can go and apply for a business line of credit, get it approved, you get same-day approval, and you can use your business line, and I can help you build your credit, and you can then write the check for $4,000 to $6,000 that way. So you get paid again? Well, yeah, sort of, kind of. All right. That's some options to consider. But the challenge is, what if he says no to the proposal? That's a new problem. I mean, seriously. How likely do you think it is that there will be people who will say no to your proposal, in spite of how good it is? It's a high bar for some. And if you're in a low neighborhood, it's going to be a high bar, and a lot of folks are not going to be able to reach it. Right? But you're going to have to deal with that in terms of other options that I can recall. What about services? Well, I can offer some other services. But remember, services require time. And services can be very profitable. I could do a group program of 10 investors at $5,000 a head on a 6-month program. Or I can do a personal coaching at $1,000 a head, $15,000 a head, 12 months. Or I could do group mentoring limit my size class to 10 at $4,000 a month, that would throw out $40,000. But remember, these services require time. Now, if you got the time and you don't mind, then it should be fine. But if you don't have the time, and time is your most valuable resource, and you do mind, then you shouldn't do this. It won't work for you. You won't feel good. It won't be a good experience. All right? Now, products. Products don't require time. They are evergreen. You just give somebody a link to a website and they download and consume your content. Only thing is, products take a lot of time and can be expensive to create. So what we're going to offer our guy, we kind of got strapped here, right? So we're going to think through this. Or in terms of products, we could create a online video training course. Instead of paying $10,000, $5,000, how about a $2,500, $1,900 video streaming course? Kind of like what you're looking at here. Content is what matters. Or a down step would be a step-by-step blueprint, $495. Typo there. All right. Could be that. So what do we want? Our first product that we offered was a service, and it didn't go over. So we offer another service? Maybe not. Maybe so. Wouldn't it be better to offer a product which doesn't require us spending time to deliver it? All right? What about this? Let's do some thinking. What about one service, 2 products, and we'll do a group coaching of 10 people at $5,000, and we'll do it for 6 months. If we do it for 12, we got to double it from $15,000 to $30,000, and we can double the size from 10 to 20. You make your time worth it. We would do this off our schoolhouse platform, sort of, and run it there. Okay? And we'll do it for 5 days. Every month we have a challenge, a 5-day challenge for 5 days a week. We crash on this. We just crash. Deep dive every day. Then we record it, then we out. We may charge $297 for it. Or in this case, $5,000. Or we could do a $297 intro course, kind of like this one. And then on the back end, at the end of the course, offer the $5,000 or $15,000 long-term program to the group. We can do that. And then here, products. Let's pick some products. We're going to go with a step-by-step online video course. We're going to sell it for $1,900. You can adjust it. If you have one of these products, you can adjust it, because we took all of this, and you're going to see what was created as a result of solving other person's problems. And we do the step-by-step blueprint, and that gives us 2 products and 2 services, and we're going to be good with that. All right? Now, to do the 2 products and the 2 services, I'm going to have to do some work. I had to build a membership website. For the products, I want to build an online training platform where I can stream the videos, which means I basically have to build an e-commerce store, integrate the video streaming service, and I must and insist on putting in an affiliate program. So if I decide to market those websites, the people that purchase and get access to this total system will also have an affiliate program where they can get other people to sell their video courses and their other services. So they can join venture if they choose to. All right. And these will be my alternative solutions if my initial offer isn't accepted. Okay. So now I have a solution to the problem, a JV program, which is my first service. Group coaching is my second service. This instructional video can actually be a product. A digital online video training course would be my product too. And then I would have a step-by-step blueprint, which is basically a download, a downsell, which would be my product 3. Now, the thing about the digital products, I don't have to deliver those. I just have to make them available. Okay? And that's pretty cool. That's what I like about that. So I got the services here that I'm going to set up, and then I have the solutions. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products. You say, but remember, the first product, the JV program, I delivered that over the phone. I'm saying I sold that over the phone. I didn't need no website to do that one. Okay? Now, here's what I get out of this. Got a JV program, a group coaching program, and they're my 5 products. And I got a new JV site. I'm going to show that to you. And a new business site. And a new affiliate program. Now all of this is a spinoff from focusing on helping a client solve a problem. This is what came out of it. Just when I was telling you, you want to see what comes out at the end. This is what came out because I stayed focused on my highest value to my client. All right. So on my deal recap, let's look at the numbers now. All right. I picked up the 10,000, the 16, $100,000 note, gross on that, 116,000. Paid back the commitment fee. I leave the deal with $106,000, and it basically took me 6 weeks to do that. Now, can you do that in 6 weeks? Oh, no. I'm just telling you. I'm in my space, in my place, and I know I can. Can I tell, show, teach others how to do it? Yeah, I can. All right. And can I give you the tools and resources to do it? Yeah, I can do that too. But what I got out of this is I got the deal done, and I have a new website, 2 services, 3 new products, and a repeat client who's ready to do his second deal. And the second deal is $7 million. What's my 10% of $7 million? Come on now. That's $700,000. How much did I put in it? Nothing. Intellectual knowledge. I'm more excited about that. He who is the greatest, so who really wins? Me or him? We both win. And I'm in it to help him to build an empire. And I can sell my digital courses to all of those other people who have that problem, or you can, to the people that have that problem. I sell them the product, the $1,900 product. You say, well, who's going to pay $1,900 for this content? It's for $1,900. You can't find this. This is very unique. Let me just say this. This is not just unique. It is all original content. This ain't no repeat of somebody's stuff. This isn't theory. This is based on what I've actually done. You feel me? So this is different. So yes, very unique. You can't find this everywhere. All right. Now, remember, that was just us dealing with problem 1. We got another problem to solve. But in solving that first problem, this is a spin out for me. All right. Now, the actual value of this, if we had this, no one said, how much would you charge for something? He said, well, I would charge $500. Well, how much would you pay for it? I wouldn't pay $500, but I'd charge $500. Then there's a conflict there. You know, this ain't that. This actual solution for this process, I can justify $6,000 for it because I made $6,000 from it. Okay? You saw how I did it. Hello, right? So that's a real number. I created a $100,000 note, and you saw how I did it. I have here $10,000 to learn how to make a $100,000 note. That's 10xing your money. Well, you said, well, you didn't put nothing in it. Okay, well, then it's infinity, whatever. So 10,000 is a reasonable solution. 2 evergreen products. I said 1,900. Let's just say 15. That's $3,000 worth of products in real value. I ain't asking you to buy nothing now. I'm just showing you how I determine the value. Then we stuck that coaching program in there at $10,000. But then we got a group coaching and a mentoring program. So, you know, it's more than that. And then the website, man, built all of this into a website. Isn't that awesome? All right. And an affiliate program, which means what? You can have other people selling your stuff. How about that? Or selling this thing, once we make it available. This is the pre-launch stuff you're looking at, guys. All right. And then you have a membership site. That's $5,000 by itself. We're talking about real stuff here. So the total value of what I got out of this, aside from the $100,000 note and the $6,000, is I got a $42,000 system product as a result of helping him. So, wow, okay. And this is cool. And the point on all this is it pays to focus on helping other people get the message. All right. So you can see from this why working on other people's problems, excuse me, is really worth the effort. It's worth the concern. Question goes back, do the work we talked about, do the list on the recap, do the list, make the list, and identify some problems you can solve. And quit thinking about your problems and focus on whose problem can you solve. And you're going to open yourself up to a new process. Remember the golden rule here. All right? He that is greatest among you should be your servant. So I don't want to be serving nobody. I want to be served. You got a problem. Well, I'm just like that. That's just the way I am. I know. Yeah, I can't make it. The Lord made me that way. I know. But I'm telling you, you want to harness this. And the fact that it's mentioned in both of the Gospels, a couple other places too, means it's really important. If any man desires to be first, who wants to be last? Seriously? I mean, you really want to be last in a race? The same man should be the last of all and get at the back of the line. You want to be at the front? You want to be held in high esteem? You want to be at the front of the line? Start at the back and be a servant. I don't get that. I ain't feeling good. That's okay. I get it. Everybody don't have ears to hear this, and I get that. But anyway, was those principles implemented in this solution. And remember, let's just solve problem one. She got another problem. Got two more. And when you get this approach to solving other people's problems and doing it strategically, mathematically, you're going to open yourself up to a whole new world of opportunities. But you got to remember, you got to help people. And I'll tell you why that's important. Why it's really important that you harness this, being a servant and your fiduciary responsibility. Let me tell you why. Because with this information, these strategies, these inside secrets is very, very, very easy for you to take advantage of people. That's why you have to put the principles in place, because you can be a curse to people, because you can take this information because it's that powerful, and that's what you can do. That's why you have to have these guidelines in place. Serve first, profit last. Put others first, yourself last, and you will win. But if you go to putting yourself first and everybody else, what is it? Boy, pray, Lord, bless me and my foe and no more. If you got that attitude, you won't do it. This won't work. You're gonna hurt yourself and other people. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, this is the new website. We'll take a little tour in here. Make sure I figured this thing out. See if we can launch that browser. I think I can. Here. Hope I can. Let's see. Can we? No. We can't launch it from here. But let's do it this way. This website is my new website. Okay. Now, in here, we're going to make a few of these websites available. Not but a few, like 3 or 4. But here, you have a program. Yeah, see the site comes up in my browser, but it's not showing up in the video. So we can deal with that a different way. Okay. So in here is your 12-month mentoring program for $32,000. It's part of the package on the membership site. All right. The site is actually at rtcjv.com. You can actually see the site. But that's the site that the JV presentation page is on. All right. Now these products in here, you can put in here what you want. Just if you have the site, right? Or you want to create your own programs, you can do that in here. But that's the sales page initially. This is the sign up page for the membership site. All right. So I have in here a free course, the 8-week fast start program. I have a VIP masterclass, and it'll be the joint venture class. I got it $500 every 3 weeks, but I can, you can make this whatever you want. And I got the personal coaching at $4,500 a year, and that's all doing the launch. I'm doing configuring and creating the content. But you want to get your hands on one of these, all right? And you can create your own prices and your own products because the infrastructure is actually there. And to make it complete, what I end up doing, remember the problem we had. What are you going to do if they say no to your first offer? Well, we got a solution to that now. We fixed that. We have this. We can offer this. And these are the products. Remember? 2 products and the services. You don't have to put them all on a website at one time. You can have a freebie up for lead generation. And you can have it where the others, not even on the sales page, they pop up later. But you have a real membership site and our e-commerce platform. So you can put in here what you want. But remember the problem here was, what are we going to offer the guy if he doesn't accept our offer? This is what we're going to do. This solves that problem. All right. Now, next, we added to this the business financing module. And what's cool about the business financing module, this new one, you get same-day funding on business loans. And these are non-collateralized loans. That's what's cool about it. So you can get same-day funding. So you can send your client here. He can apply for a line of credit, then turn around and use a line of credit to buy your stuff with. You got that? Pretty cool, right? Okay. And, of course, the front end of the JV site is there. We have all this. This is done. I'm saying this is what was created as a result of helping a person solve a problem. It's amazing. All right. So that's the fallout on that. That's how it worked. So I have a post-launch potential schedule because I hadn't even launched the site. And then I have the pre-launch stuff. In other words, stuff I'm doing now is basically pre-launch. I'm basically creating content for the membership site, pretty much. All right. My post-launch projected price, and I'm sure it's going to change because I understand the value, is for the site and all the training programs and everything, is I got it at $7,000, but I'm sure it's going to be more like 10 because the value is actually there, guys. I'm just saying. And I'm not asking you, I'm just showing you where my head's at. It's part of this transparency thing here. And what I'm going to do for like 3 sites to test the effectiveness of my market, we'll probably make 3 of them available at $2,800. But the only people be able to do that to be members. They have actual hosting accounts. And if they don't take them, it's okay. and they can actually, hit the link down there and check it out. It might be live, it might not. But you hit the click it and see, the price may be 28, it might be 58, it might be 0. I doubt that it'll be 0, but you get my point. I'm preparing content, doing my pre-launch. See, I'll take this video that you're watching and I put it up as a live webinar that replays over and over and over. So I have to have a link in it, regardless of what I can do with the content. So I can take this video and turn it into a webinar and know that this link is in there and just let it run. Because the content's here, strong content, okay? Now, we solved problem 1, and we made a little money and created some products and some new services as a result of solving that problem. That's pretty cool. Problem 2, we're going to do in our next session, and it can be you or someone else, but it's a different problem. Remember, we had a confidence problem and a how-to problem. See, when I solved that confidence problem and that how-to problem, and I showed you for the client, what I actually did was I created a product right there in front of you because the path is there. The process is there. This problem is different. The guy desires to purchase a commercial property, and actually this was what triggered, was the mandate for the whole program. This was a member, one of my customers, who had this problem. He wanted to purchase some properties, but didn't have any capital or credit. You want to know, what can you do? He said, well, you need to get a miracle loan. We don't work miracles. This isn't that. But I didn't go there. And I said, you're asking the wrong question. Ask me if I wanted to purchase a property with no money and no credit, what would I do? That's the question I asked. And in the process of addressing his problem, looking for a solution, he came up with 2 new things. One was the one you just saw, the JV program. And secondly, would be the solution to this problem. And here's what I want you to make the connection. On the initial JV problem 1, we are helping an individual move into property acquisitions as a partner. Okay? We are helping them go there. With this problem 2, what we're going to do is we're going to get them to help us go there. So it's a different conversation. Process is basically. All right, I want to give you a look, an overview of the actual JV websites. We went through the training previously on how this all came about. The building out of the site is pretty much complete, except for the products have to deal with some pricing and a little copy and context. But this is the actual website itself here that I'm using to recruit for my project that we just went through in the Transactional Engineering class. So here's the site. It's pretty straightforward. Has a demo video in it that explains the process so the individuals know what's expected. The process, our part, just as we discussed on the video, and their part, the client's part, what they're to do, the parameters and guidelines, everything's full disclosure. A call here for the either fill out an online application or to actually make a call, which is faster. Typically, you want to do the phone call because it gives you a better connection and feel of the person. You can pretty much talk to people and determine from the conversations their capabilities or their inabilities or whether or not this will work for them. Because you don't want to just sign people up for the program and they can't execute. You got to remember, for me, the end game, the prize is the paper, the note. That's the prize. That for me, that's the prize. Okay, but I'm not willing to work for free. And I have to be sure that the individuals are as committed to the process as I am. So I require a commitment fee, but it's 100% refundable. So here on the telephone conversation is where I'm going to actually do the initial vetting and qualifying of the client and doing an assessment. Now they can go to the website, fill out a form, but at the end of the form, it's going to tell them you need to schedule a call. And what I'll put in here is an actual scheduler where they can simply come here and put in the date and time. So I put in here what days and times that I'm available for the call, and they simply come here and book the call. I'll get a notification that I have a call scheduled, and I'll confirm it. It emails back to them the confirmation time. I have their name and number, and I call them up. And that's where you either make the sale or decide that the individuals are for you. And if they can't reach the bar, you now have not just the $10,000 program. If they aren't interested in doing that now and they want to do something else, is where I offer the other products, the 3 products that we created. And all of that is tightly integrated in here. Now, if we go back to the home page, we have here a login. All right. Now this login is into your membership site. All right. So the way that will work, if you were to come here and log in, you would get here into the e-commerce membership site, and it'll pull your name up, and then you choose a membership. Now, this is definitely would be changing because I simply did the configuration to make sure everything works. But I put in here my 8-week program, and it's because it's a very effective and popular program. It's 8 weeks to your first commercial deal. That's what it does. And this is a freebie. But you click this button to access it. And remember, this is an e-commerce site now, so it's not like the regular real estate financing sites. It has a completely different purpose. So here is the outline of the course. Okay. And membership is $0. And they simply sign up for it. And once they sign up, they have access to the content. Now, I wanted to show you that. That's what's actually here. Now, if they click this home button, it takes them back to the main site. You follow me? The only people that can access this are going to be the ones that you authorize to do it. It's not a sales page on the membership site. It's just the products. It complements this site. Now, remember I mentioned about the business loans? Well, this site is integrated into it also. Now, the way this works is, and what's unique about this particular business site is that this lender does same-day funding, 1, and there's no collateral required. Okay? So what do you do and how do you make these two work together? If we go to the membership site and the guy chooses a membership, and let's say he goes with the $4,500 a year, if he has a problem, we have a solution, because he can now come here and get the $4,500, and we get paid for the $4,500, a fee, and he uses the $4,500, the line of credit, to draw down on it to pay us. Okay, so this is integrated with this, and that's how this actually works. Now that's the front end of both of the sites. So this site's pretty cool. Here, it's highly rated, been seriously vetted. And here's what's different. This funder also does cannabis financing. Now I don't do cannabis, but I ain't mad at you if you do, okay? And here are the lines of credit, equipment financing, the same things that our other funder offers, except this, merchant cash advances and cannabis. So if we go here, we have our merchant cash advances, and the process is the same. They click here to begin the process of actually applying for a loan. Now remember, in this scenario, with this setup, with the JV site, all of these pieces are tightly integrated together. All right, so I want to share that with you. So check it out if you choose to. But this is what I didn't get to show and share on the original video. And now you get to see it. Okay, so they apply here. They can apply here for the loan, or they can actually call you. And remember, you're going to have and be prepared for the conversations. 90% of this is going to be done on the phone. So it will be helpful to have a virtual terminal where you can actually accept the orders over the phone in real time. You say, well, you don't have that. Well, you get one from Stripe, but get one. Or get one from PayPal. I prefer you should use Stripe. Or if you can't, use PayPal, but make sure you have a virtual terminal. And here's why. If you wait and send me an invoice, one, you got to hope I get it. Or if I get it, you need to hope I open it. And that's assuming I check my email, okay? So what I suggest you do is get the person's text number and text them also. But if you send me an invoice, I may change my mind. Well, I talked to my friend and he said. I talked to a cousin Joe and he said. And I talked to Mary and she said. So that's the challenge you situation you actually incur when you are offering the invoice, which is why it's best to have the person on the phone talking to them. And remember, you're not talking anyone into anything they haven't wanted to do. Okay? You're simply sharing with them how you can help them and what it costs. And you're not, well, you can negotiate, but I wouldn't negotiate on this on the front end, because if I'm negotiable with you on the front end, I probably won't get to the closing. I'm just telling you, you want the paper. That's what the power is in this, is the paper. You want the paper. You want the income stream. You want the equity out of the air. And if you pick up a few points, that's fine. But you can't gamble on this. And you got to learn the linguistic encounter, what to say, what not to say, in order to make this work. Now, if you want to be one of the 4 people, maybe 5, to get this package, which consists of this website, the membership site, and the business financing site, and you're interested, then here's what you need to do. You need to text me. I'm not putting a link up because it'll blow out and everybody want one, okay? But I'm cutting deals on this. It's perfect for current clients because you don't have to pay the hosting fee. We simply add it to your existing account. If we need to make some modifications, we'll do what we need to do. But at this point, this website can be added to your current website for less than $3,000. You say, well, how much less? You have to text and find out, or watch the other video and you'll see what it costs. But the prices are dynamic. The premium price for this website is going to be $8,000 for this configuration, guys. The value is here. There's no question about that. And all of them have a back-end virtual office built into it also. All right, so I didn't get to cover this on the video. I didn't get the links to actually open. But this was a result of my deliberate intention in delivering my highest value to a client to actually solve his problem. And in the process, his problem was solved. And this is the fallout. All right. Remember, he who is the greatest among you, let him be the servant of many. But that's what happens. And that's why you want to do that. So I got myself out of the way, focused on the problem and my client. And the end result is this. All right. All right. That's it. They're the same. That's it. Durante Parks. Hey, thank you for coming in, visiting, and hanging out on the Transaction Engineering